Before we begin, we'd like to say that, in our opinion, it is not suitable for children or for those of you who may have a nervous disposition.
Welcome to the Fighting on Film podcast, the podcast all about classic and obscure war movies, from the Normandy landings to the days of chivalry and swords. If it's been captured on film, we're going to try and cover it. I'm Robbie of RM Military History.
I'm Matthew Moss of Historical Firearms and the Armourer's Bench.
Welcome to the Fighting on Film podcast, and today we've got a bit of a treat for you. It's a bit of a Halloween special, so
You sound super excited.
I know, because I am, because I love this movie. We've delved the archives and gone into the depths of the streaming services, and we have found an absolute gem for you today.
We basically looked for something that was going to be crap, but we were sorely disappointed.
We really were. The trailer looked going to be dreadful. You know, it had like a really sort of clickbaity poster with a gas mask with loads of worms in it. And then we watched it and we were like, oh.
Yeah, the trailer made me think this is going to be great. We're going to have so much material to
we're going to riff on it, weren't we, for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, honestly, like the premise, the production looked good, but the premise looked a bit ropey, and then some of the visual effects were like, that's going to be a bit naff. But you know what? Pleasantly surprised. Anyway,
yeah,
so
it wasn't
what are we going to be discussing, Robbie?
So the film is called Trench 11. But then when we clicked play, it said it was Death Trench. So
yes,
we're not sure, basically. And it was released in 2017, directed by Leo Sherman, and it's a Canadian film, which is rare. You don't see many Canadian movies.
Yeah, that's true. You don't see many Canadian films.
And it's the plot.
It's a little bit cliched.
Very, there's this bunker and there's sort of spooky goings on in there. The British military decide we need to go and find out what's happening.
Well, the trailer kind of makes it look like a zombie film. I was expecting zombie Germans.
Yeah, I thought that these days. You get a bunch of lads in grey uniforms and you make them zombies and you make your movie.
Yeah, but spoilers, they weren't zombies.
Yeah, they weren't zombies, but they were zombies at the same time.
Yeah.
It's really confusing.
But then again, they don't play a massive part in the film.
No, they really don't.
Which is really surprising.
I think the main sort of allies are more dangerous to themselves than possibly the enemies.
Yes.
So they find this bunker. They're like, oh, there's all dodgy dealings going on down there. We need to go and find out and possibly destroy it. And then lo and behold, the Germans doing the exact same thing at the same time.
Yeah, well, exactly. So really, one of the first things I thought was this shouldn't be called Death Trench or Trench 11. This should be like Bunker 11.
Definitely.
But I suppose they were going for like the World War One link, make it super obvious.
And there's a film called Death Watch as well. So maybe they're trying to riff off that.
Maybe.
But it's a weird kind of... there's no trench in it though. They're in a trench for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but it's not a bad trench.
Beautiful trench.
It's a very clean trench, except for the bodies, but
And the blood on the floor and the dead German pile of dead Germans with like the dog.
Yeah, and one dead wolf.
It's weird.
Which is
wasn't it?
And we never find out why the wolf was there.
No, we don't. I assume it just looks scary.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Keeps you guessing.
We're not going to talk about the cast because there's no big name actors to really riff on or anything.
No, there's a Sutherland in there, but that's about it.
Rossif Sutherland, the guy is.
That's the one. The acting wasn't bad. The acting wasn't terrible.
No, it wasn't awful. I mean, he has the thickest New York accent you've ever heard.
Yeah, bizarrely un-Canadian.
It's so weird. He says he's from Winnipeg.
Yes.
And he's meant to be Canadian, but he talks like he's a New York cab driver the whole movie. It's so odd.
So we've got a ragtag patrol consisting of a Canadian doctor.
Oh no, that doctor's British.
Is he? Is he supposed to be British? I thought he was Canadian.
Yeah, he's British.
Okay, so we've got British intelligence, doctor and major.
That's it.
Canadian tunneler, and then an American escort.
Because they're in the Argonne region, aren't they? So that time it was American troops there.
Which makes sense. It was an American sector. So
they're so cliched, those Americans.
Yeah, they really are.
And they're sitting around smoking cigars, wearing rifle belts as bandoliers, big furry coats. I mean, the part were loving it, but I was just cringing. It just looked a bit, oh God.
But at least the weapons detail and the uniforms went anachronistic. They weren't terrible.
No, we were fully expecting like air rifles or something. We weren't.
Yeah.
We weren't expecting actual good armory or a good armourer to be associated with the movie.
No.
Which is odd.
Like when we watched the trailer, I thought, why have these Canadians got 1903 Springfields? And then only until like we actually looked up this like the synopsis of the film and watched it, we realized, oh,
yeah, Yanks.
They have an American escort. Okay.
It's kind of weird because Americans in World War One films kind of there isn't a massive amount of them in World War One films. You've got Lost Battalion, and that's about it. That's a great film.
Yeah, which is a good movie.
There's not that many,
Yeah.
So to see American First World War soldiers on film, I think it's a bit jarring for a British audience. For me or you, really, maybe.
Perhaps so. I mean, yeah, it's true that there aren't a lot of recent American films that deal with it. That's for sure.
I'm not really 100% on American Kit. It didn't look bad.
No, I'm not either. And they didn't look like there was anything that was World War II era that had been repurposed. The tunics looked correct. The weapons certainly looked at a glance. You don't really get to see them up close too much.
No, you don't.
Which makes it a little bit tricky. But they look like the correct mark of 1903.
Yeah, the Springfields.
The other weapon they have, which is quite interesting, was a Winchester 1897 trench gun.
Yep.
They were never actually called trench guns. That's a post-war thing. But they had the correct looking version of the trench gun.
And your big macho man at the front carrying it.
Yeah. Your main macho American character was, very much point man with his shotgun.
Oh God, yeah. And then they all do that thing in modern movies where they point the gun at the floor like they're holding a carbine. Yeah,
they all have them all at low ready. Rather than
does my head in
like port arms, which is kind of annoying.
So annoying. It's the armourer's fault, I always say, because they're training them in weapon safety.
Yes.
And that's a safe way to handle a weapon.
And it might also be something that they have to do. Like the armourer might not allow them to port arms.
Right, yeah, possibly.
For safety reasons.
Yeah. Because I've done firearms training, like this is years ago now, but I was training how to use an AK, and the guy teaching me was like, finger off the trigger, point at the floor. So
yeah. It's standard.
I can see why you do it. It's safe, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it just jars me in historical films,
It's not correct historical weapon handling, obviously. But, if the insurance demands it, then I guess a low budget film you would have to do it. But, you see it in big films too.
Definitely.
But yeah, so that was interesting that we saw an 1897. 1897s were definitely used. Probably not as much as people think they were. They were definitely used as a patrol weapon.
Yeah.
But again, not in the numbers that people think they were. So correct, but quite a surprise.
On our list of things we thought were going to be wrong, proper weapons were quite high on the list.
What else do we see? We see the interesting use of torches, flashlights.
Yeah, pound shop torches, yeah.
But they looked like the tube metal.
Yeah, they look.
And the box metal ones. They looked
accurate enough.
They looked good enough. I'm definitely not a World War One era Edwardian torch expert. Perhaps we should get an Edwardian torch expert on in the future.
If you are a torch expert, we'd love to have you on.
If you're listening.
Trenches and Torches, the brand new podcast.
Oh God, we're spinning off already.
From my opinion, parties were dreadful, but I expect it. Parties are difficult to do, from my experience.
Yeah.
And some of the greatcoats definitely weren't First World War greatcoats. They might have been from the local Target or Costco. They were a bit iffy, but it looked all right.
There's a briefing early on, isn't there, as well, of some British officers where it's a little bit questionable, some of the uniform, the major.
Yeah, he's very clipped. He's very cliche British officer. Who's
very, very on mission all the way through.
But his badges, what the hell are his badges on his lapels? What the hell are they?
I don't know. I've trolled some pages of badges of World War One unit badges, and I've got nothing. I have no idea.
I've looked the depths and I can't find out.
We never get a clear look at them. But you know what really annoyed me is they wore their unit badges and their rank out on the patrol, which is something that I don't think was done.
I'm not sure. I mean, especially not that time in the war.
No.
I know that officers were going into battle with rifles and battle dress if they could, or no rank at all. So obviously sniper, you know what an officer looks like. But yeah, we ended up saying that his badges was British Army Transport Corps, when we were when we were watching it, 'cause me and Matt watched this live together.
300 miles.
That's it, 300-mile distance over the internet. Yeah, but it was just like a running joke. Like, and he pulls a pistol on someone halfway through the movie, and it went really quiet. And I was just like, "This is not how we do things in the British Army transport car." We just came to the conclusion it's probably the prop departments don't know what they've got.
Yeah,
But-
and I think one thing that stood out to me in that scene was the material the uniforms are made out of doesn't look like serge or anything
Yeah.
that would have been
No.
used.
It just looks like nice sort of new wool.
Yeah,
doesn't
it looks like almost polyester in places.
Yeah, the Americans look like they've got velour on at times, but I think that might be the grading. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that might be an element of it. We're also wondering about all the medals. There's a briefing and there's a colonel.
Yeah.
Who is
Ashcroft, Colonel Ashcroft.
There we go. And he's sort of like, what's going on? Why is this trench?
Why are they digging it so deep?
Yes, this 100-foot deep.
Why are they trying to avoid our shell fire? It's like, obviously, why?
Like the Germans aren't known for digging bunkers.
Yeah. Oh no, they never dug one in their life.
On the Western Front.
This is a completely new endeavour.
But we were wondering what is he's wearing quite an accurate jacket.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. The
Don't look
material doesn't
awful.
look quite right, like I said, but
I mean, he's packed into it, bless him.
he's got his Sam Brown belt on.
Yeah.
And he's got his red staff tabs.
Yeah, yeah.
And he has like a little strip of
Medals.
his medal
Yeah,
tapes on.
yeah.
And I was wondering, I wonder what they are. So, and I'm not a medal expert, so I threw it out on Twitter at Historic Firearm. Quick plug.
And at Fighting on Film as well for our own.
Yeah, do plug the podcast, Robbie. Yeah, definitely.
I'll keep doing it, don't worry.
And we got some good responses. And it turns out possibly has the DSO, India Service Medal, and a couple of South African medals, and possibly the Ashanti Medal. So he's gotten around.
And we got around, yeah.
Yeah.
Trench 11, don't know what hit it. Boer War veterans. He's
Yeah, but the Major hasn't got any medals, though, has he?
they duck and dive in the transport corps, He could strip a Bedford QL engine, but you don't know what's going on the front line. This was his chance to prove himself, wasn't
It was. I think he wanted that. He wanted those extra pips. He wanted to be a colonel, didn't he?
he? He did, up the ladder a bit, and that was the weird part of the movie. Innit? They all start blaming him for wanting to be promoted.
Yeah, it's weird. All the characters that don't know each other seem to know an awful lot about one another. Like the Americans, they know all about the Major. They know that he wants to be a colonel, and he's he's going to be gung ho for the mission. And they know about the Canadian tunneler who was trapped underground for 11 days before he was found.
He dug his way out. That's what they were like.
It's just like, how do you know this? You're in a completely different sector.
They had a dossier of orders or something. Yeah, they had an absolute fat file of stuff to read. It was weird.
It's so bizarre. So bizarre. "20 minutes in, we've had no horror.
No, not at all. It's a standard war movie fare, isn't it?
We have a little bit of exposition with the meeting, and then the briefing rather, and then we're introduced to the tunneler character and his French girlfriend who he wants to take to Winnipeg.
So stupid.
And there's a scene where he sort of like describes Winnipeg
In great
as
detail.
more beautiful than Paris.
I'm gonna take you to Winnipeg. Can't wait to take you back to Winnipeg. It's
So
just
she's she's really doing a great job of hiding her excitement.
oh no, she couldn't contain her excitement. It's so weird. But no, I did some.
And then
Just quickly, I did some research, and the film was shot in Winnipeg.
naturally,
So maybe it was just like a little kickback for the Winnipeg council. I don't think I'd never council in Winnipeg.
I've never been to Winnipeg, but I know that the area is quite pretty. So
And the Winnipeg Rifles heritage there.
yeah, exactly. There's heritage.
Missed a trick in the movie. They could have been from that regiment, couldn't they? It would have been easy.
Definitely. And then there's some exposition from the Americans where they're marching along,
Yeah.
and we're introduced to all these American characters.
They know everything. They literally know everything.
They do.
It's crazy how much they know. These 3 random AEF guys just know everything.
Why only 3?
It's such a weird
I
escort.
don't understand that. So you have you have the tropes of a nervous guy,
Mm-hmm.
a war-weary lieutenant,
Yeah. And the butch
gung ho like
private,
or sergeant or whatever he was.
he's got like all his kit hanging off him, like it's...
Yeah, he's got grenades hanging off his webbing.
He's like Rambo, isn't he? World War One Rambo. So they get into the bunker finally.
Yes, about 20 minutes in, they finally like get to the trench.
Yeah, and it's all like deserted and scary, and like there's blood on the walls and whatever.
They're like, why did they leave so quickly?
So soon, yeah. And then they cut to like the German baddies.
Stereotypical like villain / pseudo-Nazi, it turns out.
And like the British were like, oh, this really like he's chewing the scenery, isn't he? Like proper pseudo-Nazi, It's like I don't know why they just didn't make a Second World War movie, because it would have sort of tied in better. I think their plot would have tied in better to a Second World War setting.
Maybe, yeah. I could definitely see this. It would easily be done as a maybe they felt it had been done too much.
Maybe,
and perhaps they wanted to capitalize because it was made in 2017, so maybe they wanted to capitalize on the centenary.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
It's 100 years since World War One ended. Here's a World War One horror film, because nothing says remembrance like a World War One horror
exactly.
film.
Wear your World War One horror film with pride. That's what they said.
There's an interesting scene where the Americans sort of get themselves ready by shotgunning like pills.
Yeah, they like these little Tic Tac looking things, don't they?
Yeah, and they have this weird sort of like brief like frenzied high, and the British major turns to the doctor and he's like, what are they taking? And he's like, oh, it's cocaine,
like concentrated cocaine.
So I was like, I know cocaine was a thing during the war, so I did a little bit of research after watching that, and I wondered like how accurate a portrayal it was.
Yeah.
And it turns out that while cocaine was definitely a thing, it was freely available up until about 1916.
God.
In the shops. You could get it from shops and pharmacies. In the UK, we had something called Forced March, and another tablet form is called Tabloid.
Oh, wow, okay.
And so there was brands of Coke pills that you could get. And apparently people were sending them to like people at the front, or like handing them to Tommies going off to the front at train stations. Loved ones were like, there were adverts for like loved ones to send out.
Okay. Oh, Johnny, please don't get killed.
Don't get killed. Here's some cocaine.
so weird. Yeah.
But in about 1916, there was a big panic around like abuse of cocaine that was whipped up by the papers. And there was a great cocaine crisis, apparently. And the Defence of the Realm Act was amended to make the sale of it illegal.
Wow. I never knew that. That's crazy. So you can directly pinpoint the classation of cocaine to the First World War.
You can pinpoint
that's a great fact.
Exactly.
I love that.
It's amazing. So these guys are shotgunning cocaine tablets, and they're taking a lot. They're taking more than they should be. They should be like, it's one every now and then, not like down in the bottle.
I mean, Tony Montana would be like, calm down, lads. It's too much.
Yeah, it's very excessive. But the most ironic thing about that, the American army at the time was a dry army. There was no booze issued.
Wow. And
it was directly prohibited for servicemen to like drink. So
it's a weird plot point.
It really is. It's kind of like it's a weirdly anti-American plot point. It's sort of like a criticism. Yeah. Like the British and Canadian characters are like sort of like looking on like, oh, that's shocking.
Oh my.
Good Lord. What are they doing that for?
Yeah.
And the doctor sort of says it's like it aids battle fatigue. And that is what it was advertised to do. So someone had obviously done some research and found out about cocaine use.
Definitely.
Obviously we associate amphetamine use with World War II.
Yeah.
But cocaine was the big drug for World War One, which was really interesting.
Well, because it's weird though in the movie that never comes up again. They do it.
No, that's what I was going to say. So they have this weird, like, frenzied high.
Yeah.
And then it's never like alluded to or is a plot point.
It's so odd because you think, oh, are they going to, like, obviously it's a zombie film, quote unquote, but are they going to use it to, like, overpower the zombies with, like, cocaine power? It's, like, stupid, but, like, what's the point in it? No one knows.
I don't know.
No. But then, they're in this bunker and they finally, like, looking around and they're, like, trying to work out what's on the other side of this wall. And it goes all quiet. And some, like, mad lad comes out of nowhere and he's just, like, gibberish in German. You know, he's got his kind of like German uniform on, and they're like, "What's this guy doing? What's this guy saying?" You know, like getting all upset and stuff like at him, and he won't shut up. And the guy with the shotgun's like, "If you don't tell him to like be quiet, sir, I'm gonna shoot him." And we're like, "What? Why?" He's clearly not a combatant at this point. You know, he's gone mad.
No, he's clearly like panicked, and he's not actually attacking him. But the guy starts like sort of like begging him to shoot him.
Yeah, he's like, "No,
Yeah.
she should shoot me," and then he
does.
starts pulling the shotgun out his, and then he gets the shotgun round square in the head.
It's a great shot, and that's the first sort of like element of horror we get, really, isn't it?
And it's just great. Like I don't know how they did it, but it's like a plastic head, and it just explodes. It goes everywhere. Yeah, but it's not even horror, is it?
It's not. It's just gore.
It's murder, isn't it? Really, it's so bad.
It was quite accurate, though. I mean, as a representation of what a shotgun would do to someone's skull.
I mean, God, yeah. There's nothing left.
It's very gruesome.
There's one hell of a headache.
After that little bit of Geneva Convention breaking, they just pop into the bunker.
Yeah. Commit a war crime. Oh, the door's open. Let's go through.
Let's go in.
Yeah.
So they go in and they start investigating. And the basic premise is they're looking for evidence of biological and chemical weapons being developed.
That's it. Yeah.
And it's sort of intimated that the British major wants to like take what's being developed back.
Yeah, but they said they don't even develop on that either.
No.
Because he doesn't even go like, "Oh, collect any blood samples we find," and all that. It's not like Alien levels, like where they're like, "Oh, we can weaponize it." It's just kind of alluded to.
Yeah.
It's just annoying, isn't it, really? It's like plot points that just go nowhere in that movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of like things that you think are going to be important to the plot.
Yeah.
But then never sort of like mature or turn into an element of their own. And so they basically they push through the bunker, don't they? And they encounter
like an infected man.
An infected. Not a zombie, but an infected. and what happens to the poor chap that gets jumped?
Yeah, it's like another scene in the dark. And this lady, I think it's alluded to that he might be naked. It's just weird. He comes out of nowhere and he like piggybacks one of the lads and they have a bit of a tussle.
Mm-hmm. And they end up on the floor.
And then he like end up on the floor and he like just like vomits in his face.
It's like the most like, sticky, phlegmy vomit you've ever seen.
You know, we were just like, "Oh, you need some Cavornia, that lad." You know, we were just like, "What the fuck?" And nothing happens. He cleans himself off and he walks off.
He does.
Like nothing happened. And we're just like, "What the fuck?"
It's a good like 30-40 minutes into the film.
Yeah.
Before anything comes of that. So that's like one of the few plot points that happen that then evolve.
Oh, and he does shoot the zombie guy with a Colt, and he does do him in.
Yeah, they do kill the zombie.
And then after that, it cuts to like the Germans co-invade the bunker.
Yeah, so the pseudo-Nazi sort of like doctor, the guy actually developing Reiner.
Yeah,
sort of like he's going there to get his samples. Basically, he's not going there to do anything. He's going there to get his samples.
Yeah.
But the actual mission that they're supposed to be on, they're supposed to be blowing the bunker up.
Right.
Because they evacuated previously, but the bunker doesn't blow up.
Mm-hmm.
And they find out later that Steiner didn't set the charges properly.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Reiner.
Who did it on purpose.
It's not Steiner from Das Boot, it's Reiner.
Oh, Reiner, sorry.
Reiner. So then, we get this great scene where I think the British and the Canadian and the Americans start having this big tiff about why they're there.
Yeah, they just randomly start infighting. Like some of them want to get out straight away, and then some of them don't.
No, there's just like clear insubordination, like throughout the whole movie as well. You know, we keep talking about the movie as a whole, but like your privates don't respect the officers.
No,
it's just like, and everyone bar like 3 people are privates.
There's a very clear chain of command that is not being followed. So
like, there's only like 3 private soldiers, and they just give a shit. They're just like, "Oh, I'm gonna do what I want. I don't care." And then the minute like an officer starts to like enforce any rules, they get all bullshit.
Yeah,
and, like,
they pull guns
on each other.
Wow, okay. So you end up like with a Mexican standoff.
Yeah, Jennings is not having it, is he?
At which point the probably the best scene of the whole film occurs.
Oh, it's great.
Enter the German stormtroopers.
Oh yeah, they're brilliant.
Because of course they're stormtroopers, you know.
Gas masks.
They've got they have
Sturmhelm.
Yeah, and they have British anti-splinter masks that were issued to World War One tank crews, which was very odd.
I think the Germans had their own version of that as well.
They did, but I think they were definitely the British anti-splinter masks.
And they burst in, didn't they? And the guy's got a Bergmann machine gun.
A Bergmann MG-15 NA, which is the most obscure light machine gun of the German army of the period.
It's rare, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really rare. It's so while the MG08-15 is probably the better known German light machine gun of World War One, these lads burst in with a Bergmann MG-15 NA and literally hose the room down.
It just obliterates everything, didn't he? It's indiscriminate fire. It kills everything.
The poor major gets his entire face shot in.
Yeah, it just absolutely obliterates his head.
And we get another element of
it's just schlock.
Ballistic gore.
Schlocky gore in it, you know.
Yeah.
But you got to feel,
he's basically pinned to a wall and shot through by the machine gun fire. All the time, the sergeant, the bolshy American sergeant, is there with his 1911. He just opens up,
firing away at him, and he's got armor on, isn't he? The German.
He's got trench armor on, and it sort of bounces off him. So the only person that survives is the doctor and the American doughboy who's just started coughing. He started coughing now, just to remind us all.
Was that the one that got coughed on? Yeah, but he's also the one that got the little scar on it, the little cut on his chest.
No, he's the one that got it all coughed on.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake. Can't even keep up because I didn't care enough.
I know. That's the problem though. When you don't care, you just kind of and it's dark too. They all look the same.
Yeah. Oh, the grading is weird.
It is.
And then after that, the stormtroopers leave and you never see them again.
No, you never the best part of the film, the Bergmann, you never see again. That must have been the most expensive gun to use on set, so they only had that for a day.
Yeah, I reckon.
You never see any of those stormtroopers again.
No, you don't.
You see just German guys in normal uniform.
Yeah, you see the world's oldest stormtrooper. It's like a 60-year-old stormtrooper, just going around with them. It's so jarring.
So they're all captured, except for...
That's it. Didn't Talon Man make it out? No, he doesn't, does he?
He doesn't. No, he gets captured separately. They're kind of they find a ladder out.
That's it, and they don't bother going up it. They just look at the stars.
No, they sort of discuss whether they're going to go back for everyone, and by the time they've decided that they are going to go back for everyone,
oh my god, half of them are dead.
Half of them, they don't know that yet. But half of them are dead, and the Germans have surrounded them.
Yeah,
they rounded up, and it turns out that for some unknown reason, the German expedition's demolition guy has been killed.
That's it.
By the infected that we only see once or twice. There's a scene with the tunneler and the American lieutenant who basically takes the shotgun off the sergeant purely because they want to use that in the scene.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where they open up a room and it's full of infecteds or zombies. They're not really zombies, but they're infected. They're kind of ravenous people that have vermicelli coming out of them.
Yeah, well, we'll get back to that in a second. But there's a scene where they open one of them up, and
oh god, yeah, we didn't even discuss the autopsy.
We were just so engrossed in the decent weapon chat. Yeah, but initially they get one of these infected people, and they open him up proper old styley, cranking his chest open, and then the doctor
sawing him up. Basically.
That's it. They hack him up. And the doctor pulls out which looks like a rice noodle, and it's jiggling about on his tweezers, and he's like, "This is a man-made parasite. No one can catch this disease."
It looks like someone's dropped a bowl of noodles in him.
It's just awful, isn't it?
So it turns out that the whole premise of the film is the Germans have contracted a very virulent strain of worms.
Yeah.
Which might endanger mankind as
somehow
as a
that
whole.
makes you insane.
Yeah.
And the evil Dr. Reiner says some people kill, some people go mad, some people just become really violent or whatever. And it's just alluded that it's like going to be like this really horrible thing that everyone's going to catch and it'll destroy mankind.
Yeah.
But that 3 people have it. So I don't know why they're so concerned.
There's some really weird, like, forced allusions to, like, the Spanish flu pandemic, which was starting in 1918, which was definitely
it ham-fists a lot of theoretical stuff in there, and like
there's a lot of like historical events referenced, like the blockading of Germany is like referenced, which is a surprising reference.
Yeah, it's a good reference. You know,
it is, but they don't go into like
it's surface
detail
level
on why they reference that. But
no, I think they were just trying to.
He's sort of comparing his actions with the actions of the Royal Navy, I think.
Yeah, saying like
they're causing a famine, and that's bad.
Yeah.
He's causing a worm-based pandemic, not so as
weird.
Also bad.
It's so weird. Yeah, that's like the whole infection, and then whenever you see like a zombie die, they've got like a little noodle going up their nose or coming out their eye or something. It just looks shit. And we proposed that the movie should have been called The Attack of the Vermicelli Jerrys.
Honestly, I mean, I knew the effects were going to be a little bit ropey, but they were the worst. I think they spent all the money on the gore, the shotgun blast, and the.
It was gory, but it looked shit.
And
I think that was the problem. There was no middle ground there. Like, you either have this like proper disgusting looking alien thing coming out of them, or you have rice noodles.
Yeah.
You know, what's cheaper? Rice noodles. So that gets used.
And then we get the introduction of my favorite trope ever, which is the good German.
Yes.
And so the other German officer that's tasked with destroying the bunker.
I think it was called General Ophilus.
Was he?
According to my sources, the IMDb page.
So I don't know. His name is irrelevant.
Mr. Nice German.
The good German.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, he doesn't agree with what Reiner is doing.
No.
And he wants to blow up the bunker. So he enlists the help of the Canadian alcoholic tunneler.
Yes. Yeah, he's always got a drink in his hand, that boy. Isn't he? Christ.
He's obviously using alcohol dependency to deal with his PTSD, clearly.
Yes.
So they go and find the giant pile of explosive.
It's like loads of Amatol in it or something.
Yeah, basically.
So I assume it would have been. Yeah.
And he's like, everything's here. There's det core, there's detonators, everything we need.
And then he does this whole thing. He like, what's missing? And he just like pulls up 2 bits of wire and just goes, duh, like someone didn't put the wire together.
Exactly. And then they've not encountered any more undead.
No, at all.
Or infected. And then out of nowhere, one comes in and sort of like breaks the German guy's ankle.
He's got a big trench club, isn't he? And he just swings at him. And they do that lovely shot in these sort of movies where you get like a fake leg and it just comes away.
Yeah.
And it's just enough to you to go, ooh,
Yeah, you feel it. You feel it happen. And you're thinking, oh, I know what's going to happen now.
But instead of getting a crutch or like propping himself up against the wall, he decides he's done for. He can't get out.
He's done for. For him, the war is over. And
exactly. True.
And, the Canadian guy to his credit is like, no, I don't know what you mean. And he's like, we both know what's going to happen here. I'm like, yes, we do know what's going to happen here. This is a very common trope. And he goes, I'm going to blow up the bomb. And he's like, okay.
Yeah, but he says, show me what to do.
Oh no, we've missed out a really important plot point.
Wait, sorry. An important plot point.
They're gonna before the infected guy breaks the guy's ankle.
Yeah.
Which seemed when I say this, that sounds really, really weak, and it is a weak plot.
Yeah.
So there's sort of like a montage of them hunting for an alarm clock.
It's so bizarre.
To detonate the bomb.
Yeah, they obviously need that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's the easiest way of detonating this big pile of Amatol.
Yeah.
Is an alarm clock. And they happily, thank God, they find one.
That's it. And he says to it, doesn't he? They have like this discussion about the horrors of war. And he says, like, his friend put a stick grenade in his mouth and pulled the cord.
Like,
We're like, how big's his mouth?
During the shelling at the Somme,
yeah.
he puts a grenade in his mouth.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's very visceral. But
and we were racking our brains what grenade that could be, and we thought the only one you'd get away with is a German egg grenade. But it's like...
But they were thinking about a stick grenade.
The mental image is someone trying to kill mouth. This is stupid. He's like,
how big was the guy's mouth?
Yeah, and then he says, I picked the teeth out of my chin for days. And we're like, what? That's such a weird thing to say.
So the alarm clock is broken in the struggle with the infected guy that breaks his ankle.
Yeah.
So that's why Oberleutnant Good German has to remain behind.
He does, yeah.
To detonate the bomb.
The bomb. But he says to the Canadian tunneler, he's like, you need to show me what to do. And you and me, we were just like, what? Because the dialogue's just sometimes a bit weird.
Yeah, it's kind of like clipped. They sort of like jump.
Yeah.
And he goes, you put the two Y's together. And he says it in the most matter-of-fact way. He's like, you just put the two Y's together.
You put the two Y's together.
Like, in his New York accent.
Yeah.
His Winnipeg, New York accent.
So weird.
So the tunnel leaves him,
yeah,
basically, and we have a lovely like little shot of Oberleutnant Good German like looking at his
family,
his few pictures of his family.
Yeah, he's not mentioned.
Like,
he's never mentioned them before.
Yeah, that's the first time you realise he has a family.
Yeah, it's oh shit, the kids.
Yeah, think of the children. The tunneler sort of heads off, and he's laying a wire down a tunnel. Yeah. And he's attacked again by the vermicelli mob.
Yeah, it's a bigger one this time, isn't it? It's only one. You only get like 4.
Well, they can't afford that many, Robbie. Come on.
It's just extras. Come on.
Actors cost money, you know.
Yeah, they do. Unfortunately, they need to be fed and paid. Yeah,
they do.
But this one's a big one, isn't it? This is like the Dolph Lundgren of.
Yeah.
He looked like Sting. I don't know why. You look at the movie. He just looked like. I don't know why. Mr. Tunneler gets him. And then loads of vermicelli noodles come out of his face. Loads.
Yeah.
But then I thought the movie would say, like, oh, when they leave the host body, like they attack.
No, they kind of just they just don't do anything. Revert to their vermicelli state of just being wet noodles.
It's not that scary, is it? You know, it's not like they're jumping from human to human like The Thing or something.
No, like they're only passed by like passing of fluids.
That's it.
Much like coronavirus.
Cool, maybe they would. You heard it here first. Trench 11 invented. No.
No. So there's the only other scene of note really is the scene with the Doctor.
Oh yes.
And Reiner.
Yes.
And they're having a chat about things, and his sort of like pseudo-Nazism comes out.
We'll be the dominant race and all that. It's jarring. That's it. My only real criticism of the movie really is that scene.
Yeah, it's a little bit off. And while he's doing that, he's sort of like playing with a brass instrument thing, and the Doctor.
And he doesn't do anything with it.
No. Well, it turns out that's for the gramophone, apparently.
What the?
And he goes, "Oh, it's for the gramophone. I rather thought you were going to torture me."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh no, I'm going to torture you." And then it cuts away. So the horror gore movie,
there's barely any gore in it.
We don't see any torture.
Yeah.
And the next time we see the Doctor, he's dead
off screen.
He's like missing an eye.
Yeah, missing. That's it.
Yeah.
And we thought like, oh, is he going to infect him? You know, is there going to be?
That would have. Yeah. Is he going to like hold some vermicelli up to him?
Yeah.
Like trying to like spoon feed him some vermicelli.
Taste this sort of thing. Try these noodles.
Would you like some noodle soup?
Try this pot noodle for me. Yum yum. No, but it's just weird. And then getting back to like Tunneler Boy, he then is just running through the complex, and he's got to blow it up, and it starts exploding, and it
does.
And then he kind of gets out.
Well, there's a super underwhelming climax.
Yeah,
though, isn't
sorry, the really underwhelming climax.
It was that underwhelming that you forgot about it.
Forgot to mention it. So he's running away, and Reiner's like trying to get out as well. So that instead of having a fight, he kind of just shoots him in the leg or something.
Yeah, he sort of like shoots the tunneler in the leg,
He's like, get up, ah, ha, ha. You're going mad.
And then he's like, get on your knees, laughing.
After getting up.
And then he shoots him in like the hand.
And
the Reiner then like boasts to like the one other German soldier left in the bunker because all the others have disappeared somewhere.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And he's like, look at that, wasn't that a good shot? And I'm like, is this the climax?
Who cares? Get out of this bunker, it's going to explode.
Anyway, as the bunker's exploding, sort of like the doctor's overpowered and there's a struggle and he eventually sort of like falls on his little vials of the
noodle monsters. Yeah, whatever
the noodle monsters, and it ends up in his eye, of course it does.
Yeah, and he's screaming like it's the worst thing in the world.
It wouldn't be great.
Yeah, not nice. You lost an eye.
Yeah.
But then Tyler gets out and nothing else happens to him.
Yeah, the bunker starts collapsing and the tunnel just sort of like
we assume that he become like the mega baddie evil monster have to overcome. You never see him.
Yeah, you never see him again.
Like, what the fuck was the point in the climax of the movie if nothing's going to happen?
It was a weak climax.
I've seen worse movies than this with better climaxes. I've seen movies that are meant to be bad have better climaxes than this. It was such a cop-out ending.
It really was a cop-out.
And then he looks up at the sky and he sees his girlfriend and it cuts to the credits.
He sort of like has a vision, but the vision is sort of like of the French girlfriend, but she's not looking at the camera. So she's not looking at him. She's kind of looking into like the middle distance past him.
Yeah. looking at the tree line over his head or something.
And I thought that's so odd. Like, are we going to have like one of those scenes where like a fist like punches out of the ground and grabs him, and it's
Reiner.
It's Reiner infected.
Back from the dead. No, that's your film.
And that's it.
Matt, have you got anything? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think it lacked direction and plot
from beginning to end, but a good laugh. We'd recommend it for Halloween night. There's definitely worse things to do with your Halloween night.
Yeah, I mean, if only to see the vermicelli. I mean,
yeah, the vermicelli Jerry's
and the Bergman and the vermicelli. What more could you want?
Sounds like a very trendy restaurant.
Yeah, it's like German Vietnamese fusion.
Oh, no, it does sound tasty. It's definitely tastier than this film was.
Yes, so that's 90 minutes, guys. If you want to watch Trench 11, Death Trench,
and be thoroughly underscared,
it's not shit, but it is underwhelming.
Sort of movie, couple of beers, don't take it seriously. As it's Halloween. There are worse movies.
Yeah.
It's readily available.
So if you're looking for a bespoke World War I horror movie,
yes,
and
there aren't many of them around, are there?
No, and you don't want to watch Death Watch again, then Trench 11 is the film possibly for you.
It is. How many pumpkins out of 10 we're going to give it? It's Halloween.
4.
4 pumpkins out of 10.
4 pumpkins with Brody helmets.
Amazing. 4 little pickle-haubed pumpkins.
So we went into it expecting a shit horror film. Okay.
Well, we were overwhelmed by the guns, and then we were underwhelmed by everything else.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah,
and that rarely happens in historical films. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this Halloween special.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween, yeah. Follow us on Twitter at Fighting on Film.
And let us know what you thought of it.
For another Fighting on Film, this is Robbie signing off.
This is Matt. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.